Hey everyone, welcome to another Haze Reverb video. I apologize, it's been a little while since I've done any guide videos, and it's probably going to be like that for probably another few days or so. I've just been a bit busy recently, also been a little bit sick, and got some things to sort out regarding that. So we'll see how we go. Just bear with me for about another week or so, hopefully, and then maybe we'll get back into a bit more of like a regular-ish schedule soon. But for this week, we have a couple of new things, and also we have a preview of the upcoming weeks, which is good. We haven't had that before. I will go over that in the second half of the video, but for the first half, let's talk about the new unit that we got for this week, which is Samghrma, I think. I'm sorry if I'm butchering the name, but I'm just going to call her Sam. And she's a new heavy type unit, which we haven't had before, or as in like we haven't seen her before, right? She doesn't exist before. She is also not a limited unit, despite this like limited time, probably like all that like jazz. If there's no like special limited sign anywhere here, it's not a limited unit, and therefore she will go to the standard banner after the banner ends. I'm not sure if she's there already actually, but she will eventually go to the standard banner. And let's go over her skills. Now, as a heavy type, just keep in mind that she does charge up every like odd turn. Therefore, just remember this is not like what she does every turn, which would make it quite good. But yeah, as a heavy type, it's every 2 turns. And no instant charge up, unless there's going to be a unit in the future that allows instant charge up or some sort of buff to heavies. Yeah, at the moment she'll skip her first turn. Okay, so for a basic attack, it does fixed damage, right? That's quite good. We don't have that many fixed damage units, especially not on like a basic attack, and therefore I think she's like at least decent. I don't know how good this multiplier is, but it's something that is looks promising, right? Just on paper. And then she also gains armor at the start of the battle, and this is permanent over the rest of the battle. 60% is quite a lot. It makes her a possible T-Starry tank, or just like a tank in general. But you do have to put cores on her because she doesn't get 100% naturally, but that's not too bad. And therefore, as a tank, it could be useful in Moon Abyss and stuff like that. She doesn't have a taunt, unfortunately, but you can, place her in a line that allows her to block damage. And then for her another like attack type ability, this is after her basic attack. She will deal fixed damage if the target's below 60%. Pretty decent chance of that, especially if the multiplier this isn't like super high. It's generally pretty rare to not one-shot with your basic attack, but I feel like this multiplier isn't super high, and therefore she probably won't kill with this, and then she actually will kill with the follow-up. At least that's my gut feeling, right? I guess if you're one-shotting with this anyway, that you don't really need this, they're dead, doesn't matter. So either way, they'll probably be dead after this like combination of fixed damage. Now this fixed damage portion here does double damage to assault and guard types, which is quite nice in the current PvP meta. I guess the downside is her being a heavy unit. I still don't think there's enough heavy types at the moment to make a good team, but it is a start. There's an additional unit that could fit into a heavy team. Whether the heavy team is good enough with the current units we have, I'm not really sure. I don't have the skill ups to test that. There's a lot of units that need to be built, and they require heavy investments. But if you are interested in the heavy team, I would probably pick up a copy of Sam just in case. Additionally, if she kills a unit, she will gain health back equal to 10% of her health. That's okay, not the greatest. I think if she gets hit, most likely she's like gonna die because they ignore armor, or she's not gonna take any damage because they can't break through her armor. So I don't think this is like fantastic for her kit, but yeah, it's something that she can do. Now, one thing that is very interesting with her kit is that at the start of the battle, she can apply the marked effect or focus fire. This will target I believe whoever her main target is, so whoever is in this white square should be the main target. Unfortunately, her targeting priority is similar to Morgan and Alvida, I believe. I believe they both target the second unit, which is unfortunate because that means that they'll you can't really use her to sort of target a unit they couldn't normally target, right? You might have to use the other units that like Hank. I'm not sure if Life has last hit, like last in line or second, but you know, those sort of units you probably use those instead. But it is something that makes her a bit more unique in her kit. Like she can do something that's, you know, not just tanking and dealing damage. And her EX does a bit more damage if they're below 50%. It's true damage as well, so that is pretty good. But I think triggering this is quite difficult because yeah, she'll do this one and then also this one, right? 2 instances of fixed damage. If they're not dead by then, I would be pretty surprised. But if they're not dead, then I guess she will follow up with this EX ability. Alright, so that is her skills at max rank, right? Let's go over into her skill, or like her stats and skills here, and we'll look at the skill requirements for her. Now, first off, her basic armor is 20%. In addition, she can gain 5 from her affinity, along with that 60% armor. In total, that is 85% armor. Now, if you factor in that Shushu exists in the meta, it means you'll probably want to run 2 armor cores if you're making her a PvP tank. If you're using her as a PvE tank, you only really need 1, I would say, max core. I'm unsure about composite cores. You might be able to run like 2 like half armor cores, and that probably should reach over 100%, but I'm not 100% sure. I haven't built one. So yeah, I guess just keep that in mind, like, because you probably run composite attack and armor, right? Due to the way that her skills scale. So yeah, something like that. That would be my recommended builds for her, depending on what you want her to use. Alternatively, you could also run her as a pure damage dealer, in which case you'll run the standard attack flat and attack percentage on her. Yeah, so that is the gearing. I also want to make note here that resonance gear, she gains attack and health. There's no armor from this, unfortunately. You'll probably want to avoid leveling the health if you're using her as like a max armor tank against T-Starry. Just avoid her having too much health. But if you don't care too much about that, you can also just max it if you want to. I don't feel like there's too much benefit for that because you're running her most likely at max armor anyway, so having extra health doesn't really help that. Either you're going to get one shot by things that ignore armor, or you'll just tank it indefinitely, and therefore the health doesn't really benefit you anyway. So I would probably like save the upgrade resources and not upgrade that. Now for her skill ranks, at rank 10 she gets infinite turns for the marking ability. In my opinion, this is pretty useless. There's no real reason to have infinite turns on that. The idea of the targeting would be just to kill the unit early on, and therefore having infinite turns to attack that unit makes no sense unless this keeps reapplying every round. However, it says before the battle starts it will do this, right? And therefore it sounds like it only does it once, and therefore there's no real reason to have an infinite turn mark, in my opinion. So I would probably just skip getting rank 10. At rank 9, she gets her 60% armor. Of course, if you're running her as a tank, you'll definitely need this, and therefore it's quite a heavy investment to get her up to this stage. 9 skill ups is nothing to scoff at. But if you don't want to run her as a tank, you could just run her as a DPS. However, you still probably want to get to rank 8. However, below that, she'll still do damage. It just won't be at her maximum potential. Therefore, as a DPS, you could probably run her anything below that. That'd probably be fine. But as a tank, you want her at rank 9. And then if you want her maximum damage potential, it's at rank 8 with her basic skill going to 75% here. Rank 7 upgrades the follow-up after her basic attack to upgrade the damage here. I'm actually unsure what upgrades here. Okay, looks like the scaling, the threshold stays the same, but the scaling of the damage goes up to 150% here. Rank 6 is it just adds more turns to this, right? At the basic skill, the targeting is at 10 turns, which I think is plenty. So you could, if you're just using her as a marking unit, then you could probably run her at rank 0 in that case. But I think there's better units to mark anyway, so I don't know if that's that good. I think her best use in PvE wise would be as like a full armor tank. Or if you're just running her in PvP for the heavy team, then she's a good armor tank in there, and also like a T-Starry bait that also counts as a heavy for your total heavy count. On units like, I think Caitlyn needs a certain amount of heavy units on the team. I can't remember like who else needs a certain number, but you know, there are units that require a certain number of heavies, basically your equivalent of Clock but for heavy, and therefore, you know, she could be usable like that. Aside from that, I think you can really run her like pretty much anywhere. Just keep a note that obviously the more skill-ups you have, the more damage she does, right? Yeah. So that is her skill-ups and information. And I would like, as a suggestion, she's not limited. Therefore, I don't recommend to pull for her. Unless you're specifically going for a heavy comp, then you might want to pull for her. And that, I'll leave that choice up to you. I think for most people, you can probably just skip her for the time being. There's not much coming up either, but I think with a lot of people probably still recovering from collab. Therefore, if that's if that's your situation, then I would just skip her because she's gonna be on the standard banner anyway. You can always pull for her on the your customized banner if you want in the future. Therefore, no real rush to get her on this banner. Okay, now we also have a side story for this week. It's gonna last for 2 weeks. Pretty typical side story like format. There's nothing too special about it. You got your story mode here, and then your like actual combat stages. You'll need to do 5 of these, so you probably sweep one of these, during the next couple of weeks, and that will get you your daily missions, which you need to do at least 5 per day to get all of the currency, which I obviously highly recommend. You should always do that for every side story. There's the trial missions, which are which is probably the boss stage, and this will unlock in about 2 days or so, basically over the weekend. So keep that in mind. Remember to clear that when that opens up. And yeah, then you got your shop here. Typical shop, nothing too special. Yeah, nothing out of the ordinary. Just clear this, but you can skip the lower rank cores. Obviously, get the perfect cores though. Rest like pretty useful. Like obviously, you just buy whatever you want. One thing to take note is that next week we're going to get a double resource, right? Now, so I'm going to show you here on this screen here. Now, this is the like the patch notes for the maintenance this week, right? You will see here that this is what we got this week, but there are some things here listed which we don't have yet, because just take note of the dates. These will be upcoming, and therefore, like next week we're going to get Favira, which is already an existing unit, not a new one. I will go over her next week. I won't go over her too much this week. And then the week after that, we're going to get Genia. And then there's an announcement of the July character reward at day 15. It's going to be for a new unit called Isabella. From what I looked on the JP tier list, she's like a support unit, but not very highly ranked. She's okay. But I'll go over her once she gets a release. I'm imagining that she'll probably be released after Genius banner, like the week after this one starts. Yeah, most likely that's probably what's going to happen, and then hopefully by then we're going to get the summer events. There's no summer events listed here, unfortunately. Therefore, we don't know when it's coming, but I would guess probably mid-July. We'll see how when that happens. Additionally, there's going to be Moon Abyss starting in 2 weeks, and next week is going to be the Cosmic Showdown, the PvP event. I might talk about that in a separate video next week. I can't remember if I've actually done a video for that actually, but I will go over how it works and like the general idea of it, in case people like don't remember or are new to the game. And as I mentioned, there's going to be a double resource. It's going to start 2 days after maintenance, right? Because maintenance will be should be on the 2nd, and then yeah, this will start 2 days after. This means that you should try to in those first couple of days of that, basically during the start of that week, make sure you do the your over limit stages, the 5 weekly the 5 weekly stages for over limit materials, like before the double resource starts, of course. That way you don't have to waste your energy during that event to clear that, because they don't get benefit from double resource. It also means that for this week's side story, which is this one, I think during this week it's a good time to just use up a decent amount of currency this week to get as much of the shop as possible, and then you can probably slow down next week and see how you go before double resource. Because obviously during double resource you don't want to be farming your side story. You probably just do the 5 daily ones for the daily extra currency. Aside from that, you probably want to spend the rest of your resources on your core farming or whatever you want to farm during double resource. Alright, so that's it for this week, and also what's coming up over the next couple of weeks. Hope that's helpful. Let me know if there's anything I missed, and thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next video. Bye bye.